Well, Michigan's second game is in the books. They defeated Hawaii 56-10. And funny enough, as much of a blowout that game was, Michigan still didn't cover the spread. They were expected to win by 53, and it it would have happened if they didn't have that stupid holding call on the drive. Hawaii got their only touchdown. But that's not important. Let's talk about the important stuff of the game. I think the number one biggest key take from this game was J.J. McCarthy. He was amazing. Amazing. 11 for 12, 229 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He threw a touchdown pass on 25% of his throws. McCarthy could have went 12 for 12. His one incompletion was a drop. I believe it was Ronnie Bell that dropped it. I could be wrong, though. I'm pretty sure it was Ronnie Bell. The game, it was a late start. The game was supposed to start at 8 o'clock, but it didn't start until 9 o'clock because of a thunderstorm in the area of Michigan Stadium, which was a random storm, but it happened anyway. I was thinking, I said, man, I really hope that the wet field conditions won't affect Michigan at all, but no, it didn't. McCarthy played an amazing game. It's the best game I've seen a Michigan quarterback have in, I don't know. Cade McNamara didn't have a game like this last season. I guess you could argue that he did have this kind of a game against Michigan State last year when he threw for over 400 yards, but they still lost the game. McNamara did not look good tonight. I know you could argue, well, because it's what the Jake Butt, the analyst for the game, kept trying to defend McNamara, saying, well, every single one of his throws almost, someone's been in his face. And then look, a play where he didn't have anyone in his face, he threw an interception. Terrible, terrible throw. Even Davis Warren came in and had a better game than McNamara. And he only threw 4 passes. But let's get into the stats of the game. So, Hawaii's leading quarterback, their leading passer was Joey Yellen, who went 13 for 36 for 113 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. They had Najee Bryant Lele. He did throw a pass on their final drive that ended up being incomplete because they tried a trick play and didn't work. Throwing for Michigan, obviously Michigan's leading passer was J.J. McCarthy, who went 11 for 12, 229 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They also had Davis Warren, who went 2 for 4 for 65 yards, and Cade McNamara went 4 for 6 for 26 yards and an interception. Rushing for Hawaii, their leading rusher was Tylen Hines, who had 8 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. Dedrick Parson also had 12 carries for 28 yards. Jordan Johnson had 5 carries for 25. Najee Bryant Lele had 6 carries for 18 yards, and their quarterback had 1 carry for -6 yards, which was the only sack of the game. Michigan rushing, they had multiple different players with the carry. Their leading rusher was Blake Corum, who had 9 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. C.J. Stokes had 8 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Gash had 3 carries for 48 yards and a touchdown. Donovan Edwards had 3 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. Roman Wilson had 1 carry for 21 yards and a touchdown. J.J. McCarthy only had 1 carry this game for 16 yards. Davis Warren had 1 carry for 11. Tavaria Dunlap had 3 carries for 8 yards. Danny Hughes had 1 carry for 4. Leon Franklin had 1 carry for 2 yards. And Cade McNamara had 2 carries for -17 yards because of 2 sacks. Receiving for Hawaii, their leading receiver was James Phillips, who had 3 receptions for 33 yards. Grayson Morgan had 1 reception for 21 yards. Jonah Pinnock had 2 catches for 17 yards. Jordan Murray had 2 catches for 15 yards. Chucky Hines, however you say that, had 3 catches for 14 yards. Jordan Johnson had 1 catch for 12 yards. And Dedrick Parson had 1 catch for 1 yard. On the receiving side for Michigan, their leading receiver was Ronnie Bell, who had 6 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. Cornelius Johnson had 2 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Max Bredesen had 1 catch for 56 yards. Roman Wilson had 1 catch for 42 yards and a touchdown. Donovan Edwards had 1 catch for 33 yards. Eric All and Colston Loveland had 1 catch for 10 yards. Tyler Morris had 1 catch for 9 yards. Luke Schoonmaker had 1 catch for 6 yards. Matthew Hibner had 1 catch for 5 yards. And Blake Corman had 1 catch for 2 yards. So, my overall thoughts of the game. I was very pleased with Michigan's starters. The starters played lights-out football. 42 points in the first half. No points allowed. The defense, I was a little... or not the defense. I'm going to say the secondary and tertiary players I was a little disappointed with, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Too many missed tackles. So many missed tackles. They're going to... training for practice this coming week, they're going to have to train these secondary players to tackle. They just let players miss, and the defense continuously missed interceptions. I'm getting pretty tired of every time the pass was almost intercepted. It was almost intercepted. It was almost intercepted. And instead of these players stepping up and making these interceptions. But obviously these are all just minor nitpicks. Defense played amazing. Amazing. Getting in there. They didn't have as many sacks as they did last week. The defensive side, very happy. I can't complain with this team on defense whatsoever. Penalties, Michigan was very clean on penalties. They only had 3 for 35 yards. Had 2 stupid ones. Hawaii only had 1 penalty at the beginning. One had 1 penalty, which was a holding. But Michigan had 588 total yards, 320 passing, 268 rushing. Hawaii had 253 yards total offense. They started out really slow, but they ended up in the the second half. They ended up getting their act together on offense because of our backups. I know I seem really tired. It's almost 1 in the morning because, of course, this game was pretty late. And, but not much, there isn't really much to say about this game. Michigan just played lights out football. I really don't have any complaints. But for next week, because at the beginning of the season, Harbaugh said McNamara would start the Colorado State game, McCarthy would start the Hawaii game, and then he would take those two starts. He would take those 2 starts and judge them accordingly, and whoever played the better game, I guess, will start the Connecticut game. So let's compare their 2 starts. I just gotta pull it up here. So I already have the Hawaii. I gotta pull up the Colorado State. Okay. McNamara started against Colorado State. He went 9 for 18, 136 yards and a touchdown. And remember, that game, he almost had an interception that was dropped. And let's go to McCarthy's start against Hawaii. 11 for 12, 229 yards and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, I don't know about you guys, and I made a video about this earlier last week. McCarthy's the guy. I made my video talking about McNamara and McCarthy. I said, McCarthy, this was your opportunity to go out and show everyone what you can do. And he did more than that. He proved Not only that he can play, but he can play extremely well. And yeah, you could say, "Oh, relax. It was only Hawaii." Yeah, but that's how you want a quarterback like this to play against a weak team like that. You don't want. What would you rather have your quarterback do against a weak team? Throw one incompletion over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, or only have a 50% completion rate, a little over 100 yards and 1 touchdown? What would you rather have? Exactly. Next week against Connecticut, I think it's obvious J.J. McCarthy deserves to start. I know McNamara was named a captain for this team, but McCarthy is the guy. There's nothing else I can say. McCarthy's the guy. I don't know how you don't start McCarthy against Connecticut on Saturday. And I am going to that game. So if McCarthy does play, I will see firsthand how great he can play. And I think Michigan, obviously, I think they should win that game. They shouldn't have any issues. It'll be a fun one to go to. But final thoughts before I end this video. I was very happy with Michigan this game. They just have playing amazing football. They've amazing football. Nothing else to say. They've scored 100 in their 2 games. They've scored 107 points and have allowed 17. They've outscored their opponents 107-17 so far this season. Which can't really say the same about Hawaii, but excited for next week. I will make a video, talking about the game. I'll record stuff of the game while I'm there and upload it, kind of like similar to what I did for the spring game, except I'll try to make stuff longer. But look out for that if you're interested. But thank you guys for watching. I know this video I didn't really have much to talk about because there's not really much to talk about. I mean, what can I say? Michigan destroyed Hawaii. I mean, that's pretty much it. They played amazing football. Quarterback played amazing. Obviously, he should get the start the next game. Nothing much to say, but amazing job, Michigan. And I had doubts about the defense this year, but Jesse Minter so far has done a phenomenal job. He's allowed less points in his first 2 games than Mike McDonald did last year. And I know how much I praise and I love Mike McDonald, but Jesse Minter, let's keep this going. And his offense, I hope we keep this going too, man. Michigan, if we keep playing like this, we have potential to do great things this year, but let's keep it up. Go Blue.